Thank you to everybody who voted on the YouTube and Twitter polls for which character to cover next. Yoshimitsu won the Twitter poll, but King dominated the YouTube poll with over half of the votes. I'll cover Yoshimitsu next and then do new polls on both Twitter and YouTube again, so make sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter to stay up to date. King is one of the most popular and exciting characters in Tekken. Directly inspired by Japan's Tiger Mask, his move list is full of lucha-libre attacks and pro wrestling tributes. King's certainly a crowd pleaser, with moves like his giant swing and emerald flosion rage art even getting their own crowd chants at events. But was King a winner as well as an entertainer? Let's find out in this episode of Pro Tekken History. Here we go. With Tekken 1 King, we have to start with one of the most broken moves in Tekken history. His down forward 1 mid poke gives over a full second of stun time, and attacking the opponent during that stun puts them in an aerial state. In other words, King's down forward 1 is a launcher on block. Because of that, most of King's game plan would involve getting in close and stopping the opponent from ducking at range 0. This is the reason why Armor King simply outclasses King. Armor King has all of King's moves as well as a crouch dash, thunder god fist, crouch dash while standing 4 and most importantly a safe mid wind god fist to stop the opponent from ducking. King has other mid launchers but no safe mid launchers, which is why there's literally no reason to use King in Tekken 1. So we'll save the rest of the Tekken 1 analysis for the eventual Armor King video and swiftly move on to Tekken 2 where King has some distinctive traits.
Final round. Fight! Perfect.
King lost his obnoxious down forward 1 block juggle in Tekken 2, but he was considerably fleshed out in return. He has a ton of new moves that leave King in advantage on block, including his down forward 1 which still has the same block stun but has nothing guaranteed after aside from a throw attempt. And well, King's throws are some of the deadliest in the game. King has his 2 chain throws which can be dunked on reaction but are still worth using just because of how massive the ROI is. Then, King has a plethora of other damaging throws, including his giant swing and tombstone, that deal 46 and 50% damage respectively. However, King's weaknesses are his lack of safe launches and lows. All of King's big launches are punishable on block, so they can't really be used liberally in neutral. King also doesn't have many strong lows. Although his octopus stress is almost a touch of death on counter hit, the stagger kicks are launch punishable on block, so going for it is a very risky read. What this means is that King has to rely on slower, riskier moves to open the opponent up in neutral like up forward 1+2, hop kicks and the Frankensteiner, or hang back on a life lead and wait for the opponent to make a mistake. In some ways, King's bark is worse than his bite. If you have perfect throw breaks or well-timed ducks or backdashes, then it suddenly becomes very difficult for King to open their opponent up. King's block punishment is great. His 1-2 jab string combos into itself on hit, and if King wants to, he could even forego a guaranteed punish and use the plus frames to go for a throw attempt. It's extremely difficult to break throws in Tekken 2, so this is a very valid and effective strategy. King's juggle damage is very good too. When he does get a launch, he can take more than half life by finishing with the unblockable standing moonsault, as there's no time to roll away. King is a very well-rounded character with no obviously strong or weak matchups. He excels against characters who have to take risks or give up their turn to open the opponent up in neutral, such as slow heavy hitters like Jack 2 or the Williams sisters, who have a lot of holes in their poke strings for King to duck, punish or sneak in a grab. King isn't especially bad against characters like Bruce or Kazuya, he's just outclassed in neutral and is typically on the back foot. King doesn't enjoy Wang and Michelle's jab launches or their very damaging, high-crushing low mix-ups. All things considered, although King has some of his niches in Tekken 2, he's still outclassed by Armor King. King is fleshed out considerably in Tekken 3. Stepping out of Armor King's shadow, he now has new chain throws, new juggle options, and new moves. King has so many flashy options and situational tech now, too much to list here, but some of his best include his diving cross chop, which changes to a lower tip range, his unblockable moonsault oki, evasive moves like his sidestepping body press and sidestep chain throw option, ground throws, crouch throws, and a 10-frame giant swing to mix up with a tombstone and muscle buster. Oh, and that tombstone offers a guaranteed ground throw attempt or alley kick. King also has a low parry that gives him a free hop kick, and a kick parry that's one of a few unchickenable high and mid parries in the game that also guarantees a ground throw attempt. By far the best move King has though is his cross uppercut 2-1, which is plus 14 on hit. This means you can loop 2-1 twice in a row and then hit with a down forward 3 after for a half life punish, or go for guaranteed throw mix-ups with the abundance of plus frames. This also actually means that 2-1 is technically King's most damaging launcher. Yeah, although King has a great 10-frame punish, his juggle damage is actually so subpar that it's better to just go for 2-1 over a hop kick. King does have great Okazemi if his juggles are stopped early, but it's still not great. King has other weaknesses too. Not only is his juggle damage bad, his launcher options aren't great either. His safest launcher is actually his full crouch down forward 1 low, but any character with a low parry can use that on reaction. King's other lows aren't fantastic either. His best low is his stomach smash, but it's very slow, only does high damage on counter hit, and has to be used carefully so that it isn't telegraphed. That being said, King does have a solid toolkit. Great punishment, great poking, and great throws. In the hands of expert level players, King can transcend the tier list and take it to just about anyone.
Tag battle. Fight.
King hasn't changed much from Tekken 3 to Tag. His 2-1 got nerfed, so there's nothing guaranteed after, but in return he got some great Okazemi options from juggles with his forward 2+3 body slam. If the opponent tries to tech roll or quick tag, it can catch them flush and gives a guaranteed ground throw after. King also got his down forward 1-2 poke string in this game, an excellent string to delay and use to condition the opponent's timing. Mixing it up with a duck jab string, jab strings, throws, and you can see the core of King's poking game start to shape that's still used to this day. King's block punishments suddenly turn from a strength to a weakness. It's nice to have a hop kick, but King's smaller punishes are very lacking. The only positive is that they leave King very close to the opponent in advantage, meaning plenty of opportunities to start throw mix-ups. King's best tag partner by far is Armor King. Both characters have unique tag throws with each other. King's been especially good as his back 1+2 grab is unbreakable in tag. That being said, King's a very well-rounded character and easy to partner up with almost anybody in the game. His tag launches aren't great however, so he's not an amazing point character for characters with strong juggle damage like Jin and Julia to tag into. King has a healthy number of tournament results. Mike placed second at the 2000 World Championships, finally losing to the winner, the legendary Korean ogre player Seokdon Min. Also, don't get mixed up, this is Mike Nappa, not Mike ATL, another King player you'll see later in the video. Joe King placed third at Electric Cancel 2 and tied fifth at Electric Cancel 5 with his Yoshimitsu King team. Japan's Kenbou had a bronze finish at the inaugural 2003 EVO. His movement crazy Lei was the star of the team, but King was a great partner for Lei as he could be tagged in with an instant running alley kick for tag juggles and had great okazeme. Finally, Jin Kid made top 8 at EVO 2004 with his Devil King team. Look at that weaknesses list. King is not good in Tekken 4, and there's a lot of reasons why, but first, let's talk about the few positives. King does still have his excellent throw game, including the new Shining Wizard, or as it's known in Tekken 4, the Tomahawk. His throws still have good Oki, he still has strong Oki off of juggles with down forward 1 pinning an opponent who tries to get up to the ground, much like Heihachi's down 1 loops but with less range, as well as crouch grab tech catches during the attack rolls, few crouching frames. Unfortunately, that's all the positives I have to say about King. He relies on his throw game more than ever, as he melts in the face of strong pokers. He has no 13 frame mid, his down 1 neutral 2 no longer has high crush frames and isn't natural, his magic 4 is 13 frames and has bad follow-ups and counter hit, and he has flawed evasive options. All this means King cannot reliably shake off pressure, which is at the crux of Tekken 4's poking focused meta. King is also bad at starting his own pressure, as his advancing moves are either unsafe or just bad, and he has no threatening lows aside from the stomach smash, which has no guaranteed options off of counter hit due to a coverable gut stun and breakable throw follow-ups. But hey, King's the only character in the game with 9 frame jabs. Sick. King's block punishment is nothing to write home about either. Having 9 frame jabs is nice, and on hit they do set up his deadly throw mix-ups or down forward 1 mid, or if you're really feeling it, a crouch throw, but they're still not as nice as 8 frame jabs. King's juggle damage is also as subpar as ever, although he can sacrifice some damage for pretty good okazeme options as stated earlier. The top 3 in Tekken 4 all destroy King. He can't fight back against pressure monsters like Steve and Nina, while Jin simply outclasses him. King's lack of a working dark jab, 13 frame mid, or 8 frame jabs means he just doesn't have a single tool to combat against those characters. King's only winning matchups are those where he doesn't need to approach and can shut down opponents easily, such as Xiaoyu's AOP losing to down forward 1, or matchups where he can utilize his excellent kick parries, such as against Lei and Law. Tekken 5 gave King a ton of new tools. A new, better Magic 4 in the shape of his back 1, his down back 3 crouching low that's a counter hit low launcher from standing, his push that comes out at 10 frames and gives guaranteed follow-ups and counter hit, his forward 3 toe kick that has a just frame DDT follow-up, his forward 2-2-2 series that is great combo filler, and of course, King is one of 2 characters that gets an air throw, his running power bomb. All these new tools really complement King's close, aggressive poking style. Down back 3 and back 1 are great at finishing counter hits after an opponent starts to feel pressured. His push is +2 on block, which along with moves like his shoulder barge on shallow block, the Shining Wizard and the stomach smash all give King decent options at closing in on turtles. King's block punishment is one of the few things that hasn't improved. It's not bad, he still gets launched at 15 frames and he still has his 9 frame jabs, but it's not as OP as other characters. What is great however is King's juggle damage. The running power bomb gives King unscaled damage at the end of all of his juggles if players feel confident enough to go for the instant run. King's wall carry is also solid and he has great wall damage. King can also go for a breakable ground throw at the wall if they want to go for even more damage. King does still have some weaknesses as a specialist character. He's explosive at close ranges, but he's not as proficient in the mid-range as some of the strongest characters in Tekken 5 such as Fane, Nina, Heihachi, Marduk and so on. King's tracking is also lacking. One of the best ways to neutralize King up close is to sidewalk and bait for whiffs, which stops King from overextending. Characters like Steve especially have tons to gain with a well-timed step and catching King up close. All that being said, Tekken 5 was a return to form for King, and he remains a very well-rounded character.
One, two. Be Fanatic with the rush down. Throw Link Massacre, no break with the low 4. Hop kick. Be Fanatic. No combo. Oh, full crouch combo. It could end. Be Fanatic.
King already received a massive overhaul in Tekken 5, so he only received very small tweaks in Dark Resurrection. He did receive a bunch of new moves though, and will highlight his two best additions. His forward 2-2-1 is a great wall carry option, wall juggle option and overall juggle choice for players who aren't comfortable doing instant running power bombs, while his down forward 2-1 is a strong mid-high counter hit poke string, giving a free alley kick on counter hit, and is also a great juggle filler. It also tracks, which can stop itchy players from stepping and pressing too liberally. Due to a lack of archiving, we couldn't find any tournament results for King in Tekken 4 and 5, but DR is much healthier. We've got a lot of results to talk over. First, the veteran K30 placed second at NorCal Strong Style 2, finally losing to the eventual victor Kudans. For UK's Dinosaur tied 5th at Ultimate Tournament 8, primarily using Raven but also using King. It's worth noting that Dinosaur likely also placed with King at earlier Ultimate Tournaments, but no footage or details of character results exist, so we don't know if Dinosaur used King in those events. The Jack legend Arario placed 4th at Electric Cancel 6 and won Electric Cancel 6.5, primarily using Jack 5 but with a Pocket King in the back. The Fanatic placed 4th at the prestigious EVO in 2008, and finally Mike ATL placed 2nd at Final Round 12, finally losing at the end to Anakin. Lil Majin is notably absent from these recorded results, not because he wasn't active but because he was still very young at this point and couldn't travel very far, but that was about to change.
Play winner, shout out to I Play Winner.
Hods, we love you. Roger Dodger, you guys holding
Roger
it down.
Dodger.
Everyone
Hods.
on the I Play Winner staff.
Shout out to Crack Fiend, my boy.
Ow! Okay, man, I think this is done.
Oh.
I think this is done.
Yo, get up.
Oh,
Get
why
up.
are you getting
Told
up?
ya.
He obviously doesn't know the Oki options. It's over, I think.
Oh, man. Don't choke a bitch. He wants to choke a bitch. Is King gonna have to choke? Oh.
Oh, no, you
drop
can choke him.
kicks.
Oh!
Ah.
It's over. It's over.
You know what? Great display by Lil Majin. You can't take anything away from Real Law because
He put on a clinic, man.
he put on his play, but Lil Majin really stepped up his game.
King remains solid in Tekken 6. Not much has changed. All of King's best moves remain strong, and he hasn't received much in the way of new moves. His 9-frame jabs are now 10 frames, but all characters with 8-frame jabs got nerfed too, so King didn't get hit too bad relatively speaking. One of his biggest new additions is the Tijuana Twister throw, another powerful 2-big throw that doesn't have the same threatening Oki options as the Tombstone but is easier to buffer from crouch. The other important new move that King got is his up 1+2 grab, which doesn't deal much damage but can throw the opponent in either direction and also wall splats for a wall juggle. This is really useful for King's back to the wall, as it can be mixed up with a giant swing for multiple ways to both do damage and regain positional advantage. King's full crouch down for 1 low launcher got a massive buff, being safe on block, and the low parry bound change, meaning the risk reward has dramatically increased. It can be mixed up with King's while standing 2 counter hit launcher that's also safe, or even his full crouch down forward 2 normal hit launcher due to the similar animations of the two mids. King's Sobat is now completely homing, which is a good tracking option, but King experts may be more tempted to use faster poking options that track in single directions to better target in on an opponent's movement. There are other little changes too, but the main point is that King has more than settled into his niche by Tekken 6. He has his repertoire of signature moves, and the strength of those moves only needs to be slightly tweaked as the meta changes around King. King's block punishment hasn't changed, spare the loss of his 9-frame jabs. What has changed are King's juggles. He received a new wall grab that deals insane damage, and the introduction of floor breaks is massive for King as his running powerbomb breaks through the floor for extra damage. After a bound, King has a few options: the instant running powerbomb, a consistent shoulder barge, wall carry, or his down 2+4 grab that can lead to breakable follow-ups, or puts the opponent in a 50-50 mix-up between a hop kick relaunch or a ground throw if King doesn't commit to the follow-up. And of course there's many other safer options to go for in Maoki's situation. King's juggle damage also dramatically increases against big characters, with unblockable setups and extra grab opportunities at the wall. While King is in a very strong spot in Tekken 6, his neutral is outclassed by most of the game's top tiers. Characters like Law, Bob, Steve and Julia can smother King up close, who only has back 1 duck jabs and down forward 1 to consistently shake off opponents. All of these moves give up King's turn on block, so King has to stay moving while the game's top tiers chip away at King and threaten launches or counter hits that can delete over 40% of a life bar. King also doesn't get great punishment on characters like Bob or Steve, who can threaten counter hit launching mix-ups or pressure with at worst jab or while standing 4 punishes. King saw a lot of usage in the States. Lil Majin had started traveling, placing a respectable 3rd in his home state at Kumite in Tennessee 2011, as well as a top 8 finish at final round 14. The veteran K30 got a strong 3rd place finish at NorCal Regionals 9, while Incognito with King placed 4th at Northeast Championships 12. All of these players are likely placed at more events, as well as other King players from Europe and Asia, but again, tournament archives still weren't the best.
Les catcheurs. C'est reparti, ça continue. Oh là, attention, un peu plus de risque, mais pas donner des vies comme ça gratuitement, ça donne confiance à l'adversaire. Quand tu donnes des coups dans le whiff, tout de suite l'adversaire prend confiance. Et voilà, et c'est ce qui se passe. Allez Harry, on a envie que tu prends que des mines. Harry il a plus envie de faire de l'eau. Ah bah attention, allez se prendre le DB3. Ah là là, le DB3 de 2 DB3 en counter. Oh putain, c'est dur. Bien vu. Il faut sortir. Oh putain. Oui, il a réussi à pas se prendre un launcher en rentrant. C'est déjà pas mal. Harry a quand même peur de balancer ses lots maintenant parce que c'est compliqué. Chaque fois qu'il fait ses lots, oh superbe. Oh Lil Majin, superbe. J'ai envie de dire. Oh là là. 3-1 pour l'américain. Je pense que voilà, il n'est pas venu pour rien.
King remains a strong, versatile character in Tag 2. He has great pokes, punishment, counter hit launches and Okazeme. His issue of a lack of strong lows is still apparent as his full crouch down for 1 became again punishable. He still doesn't have great mid-range offensive tools and prefers to brew up close. His game plan is the same as ever, so let's talk about how that game plan works in the tag system. King got a couple of new moves, a 14 frame while standing punisher and while standing 2-2, and a Hail Mary high crushing tag launcher and his down 1+2 Atlas hammer. They're nice to have situational moves, but when it comes to King playing in a tag team, he doesn't work well with the whole cast. He doesn't have great tag assault fillers when tagged in, he doesn't have great wall carry options post tag assault, and his tag launches can't be used like a Machine Electric mid juggle to burn red life. What this means is that King is one of the characters who needs a carefully considered partner to excel and play optimal Tag 2. King has unique tag throws with Marduk, Armor King and JC that deal with lots of red life, and Marduk works especially well with King's tag juggles. There are other characters that definitely work well with King, but it's a matter of spending time optimizing juggle situations and setups, which some players enjoy loving and others despise. In short, King is more of a specialist character now than ever. Tekken Tag 2 was totally dominated by none other than Lil Majin. His King and Armor King team was one of the strongest teams in America, regularly clashing with Anakin, Jimmy J Tran, Bronson Tran, Fighting GM and Incognito around the top spot. Tag 2 was Majin's most travelled game and he went everywhere. He had too many strong placements to go over them all, but his highlights include winning CEO in 2013, winning SDR 2014 and winning at Ultimate Tournament 15 in Paris, his sole European trip. Kayyal was another strong King player in the States. He placed respectively early in Tag 2's lifespan. Although he seemed to stop competing regularly after around a year, he capped off with a very respectable top 6 at EVO 2013. Other King players include Alex Valle, yes that Alex Valle, who placed 5th at Unicom Battle Opera 2012. Overall, who made top 8 at the Fall Classic 2013, MMT from Australia making top 8 at the Tekken Global Championships 2013, Brawl Pro placing 5th at UFGT 10, and Singapore's Imperfection placing 5th at SEA Major 2014. Finally, I'd like to mention that every single King player you see always had Armor King as their tag partner of choice, except for Overall, who partner King with Jun of all characters.
And Majin, he is on a tear right now. He's on the verge of sending JDCR to losers.
Oh my God. He's
Oh
gonna
my
beat
gosh.
him.
He's going to have to be careful, though. He's in rage.
He's gonna beat him.
He has to.
Oh, he ducked it.
Oh, you got to be careful.
No.
And that's something that you rarely get hit by, but JDCR ready
Look at
for
the
it.
time. Look at the time.
He's going to have to either stay on the
Look
ground.
at the time. Look at
Oh my
it.
God. JDCR with an amazing comeback.
God. He's from the future.
He knew it.
He's from the future. He's already seen it.
Oh no, this momentum shift, I'm not liking it here. JDCR looking to come out on top. Nice combo.
yes.
Okay, good punish as well.
JDCR
Oh
bringing
my
it all
God.
the way back.
And an amazing match between these two. Final
Not
round.
making it easy for our hero. Counter hit.
There's the counter hit. Guaranteed follow-up with the
Misses it.
4-2-1.
Oh, the back swing. The Jaguar step. The block.
And again, the USA chants from the crowd.
Oh,
This is way too exciting. He's working on a perfect.
3 of them. He didn't duck the high. Block that.
Nice.
Interrupt.
And again, he's playing soft
He threw him. He
combat.
broke it. JDCR.
Oh, he gets it. One more hit could do it.
Oh my
The block.
God.
And
He beat him!
Eris, I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Can I get a break? Any chance?
I know we wanted to take a break
Any
later, but
chance?
man.
Staff, any chance we could get a gurney?
Tekken 7 King might just be his best iteration yet. King received 2 incredible moves from Armor King. His forward 2-1, which is both a whiff punisher and a huge wall carry option, and his down 3, a low poke that's +1 on hit and a strong setup for King's throw game. Not only that, but King got a ton of buffs to his existing moves, most notably his forward 1 that before Tekken 7 was pretty useless. Now it's a homing counter hit launcher, which finally adds some real sting to King's advanced in game. King also got a running 3 that is somewhat steppable but can be anything from neutral to +5 on block. His shoulder barge also gained power crush properties, which makes it a great situational tool and round ender that's safe on shallow block. King's rage drive is fantastic too, giving tons of frame advantage on block, a full juggle on hit, or guaranteed follow-ups and Oki at the end of juggles. Speaking of juggles, the screw system makes hitting running power bombs easier than ever, meaning King isn't just incredibly well rounded with almost no weaknesses now, he's also a very accessible and beginner friendly character. King's block punishment is the same as ever, but his juggles are a very different story. King has a plethora of juggle options, character specific and stage specific juggles and more, but the video is showing the high damage staples. One nerf King did get is the loss of his unscaled air and wall throw damage, but his wall carry and consistency somewhat makes up for it. King's Burning Knuckle is also drastically sped up to the same speed as Armor King's in Tekken 7, so he gains access to new Burning Knuckle Okazeme setups. The most common is off of counter hit down forward 2-1, which gives a guaranteed Burning Knuckle against half of the cast. And of course, King suddenly transforms into an S tier character on the Forgotten Realm stage. He can either go for huge wall carry with a running powerbomb floor break into more wall carry, or go for an unscaled instant running powerbomb at the start of the juggle, then screwing to continue the juggle from there. And that's without mentioning all the throws that break the floor, like his head bomber ground throw, tombstone and muscle buster, the latter also setting up for a guaranteed Burning Knuckle with character specific setup. It's the knowledge of those character specific setups that makes a true King specialist. King mostly has even matchups in Tekken 7. The few differences are against bigs, especially Jack, as they struggle to step King's main pokes and Burning Knuckle setups are brain dead to execute on them. King's also good against Akuma and Eliza, as his jabs, back 1 and magic 4 are really strong against their jumping and dive kick pressure, and specialist Kings can even dash under or sidestep around them for big damage setups. King's worst matchups are typically ones where he's swarmed by lots of poking and pressure, such as Julia, whose elbow goes under King's back 1, Zafina, who makes King struggle to deal with her stance mix-ups, or Xiao Yu, who evades almost all of King's mids except for down forward 1 in AOP. Quite a few King players placed early in Tekken 7's lifespan. Poland's Batty had a trio of strong placements in the first few months, 4th at Tatakai Holland, tied 5th at Dreamalition Derby 4, and 3rd in his home country of Poland at Warsaw Games Week 2017. Another European King, France's Red, placed tied 5th at Tekken Grand Battle 2017. Other King players got single placements with the character, OFDP at ECT, NBC in a TWT online event, Saudi Arabia's Federer placing 3rd in Kuwait, Garlanda using King as a secondary at Headstomper 2018, and even Knee used King for one set during his victorious run at Combo Breaker 2018. And last but not least, we get to Lil Majin. Although Majin didn't travel too much, he made top 6 at both DreamHack Atlanta and Absolute Battle 8, top 8 at Final Round 2018, 4th at CEO 2018, and finally a 3rd place podium finish at EVO 2018. One of the greatest bracket runs of all time, climaxing with one of the greatest matches of all time against JDCR. King got almost entirely buffs in Season 2. Nothing major, but lots of damage and frame buffs. An okay wall bounce in back 4 and his sidestep 2 now launching. It wasn't enough to propel him to the very top of the tier list, but it more than kept him in the conversation. But what a difference in recorded results. Don't forget Season 1 ran for 15 months while Season 2 only ran for 12, and the 2019 World Tour was the toughest to place in ever. That being said, only Rox Dragon's Puma placed, making top 8 at Taipei Major 2019 in Taiwan. King just keeps getting buffed and buffed in Tekken 7. Season 3 gave King a great new move, his back 2-1 that's a 14 frame punisher that knocks down and is a screw for easier juggle options and high damage off of his magic 4. His other great buffs are the extra frames to his 2-1 that means you have to respect his follow-ups, and his stomach smash now being only minus 14 on block, a little safer in some matchups. That being said, and this is only subjective my personal take, but King's buffs weren't as dramatic as other characters who got incredible new wall carry options or outrageous new moves to remove their weaknesses. Because of that, King slightly fell behind compared to some of the elite. During Season 3's sparse physical tournament results, we had 2 placements. One from Lil Majin making top 8 at Kumite in Texas 2019, and one from Japan's Hakayo, making top 6 at the Tokyo Tekken Masters 2019. Hakayo's placement is especially impressive, as placing that high with King in a master level event in Tokyo is unimaginably difficult. King was one of the least changed characters from Season 3 to 4. His biggest changes were the Hulk Hogan just frame leg drop after back 3, which makes it a nice whiff punisher in certain situations, and extra tracking on his giant swing, tombstone and Tijuana twister. However, this isn't really enough for King to keep up with the competition, and he remains around the mid to upper mid zone in Tekken 7. And that's it. So, how good was King over Tekken's history? King had a somewhat shaky start in Tekken's early years, being considerably outclassed by Armor King. This changed in Tekken 5, where King got so many of his best and signature moves. King continued to improve and be refined over the next few games, crescending to Tekken 7, where he's now a strong, well-rounded but still highly intricate character. King is still one of the most exciting characters to watch in Tekken. His signature throws, his chain throws, his elaborate and sophisticated okazeme all make him a crowd favourite, as he's designed to be. Here's looking forward to King continuing to bring hype to Tekken crowds and fans all over the world in the very near future. Thanks for watching.